A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
As Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside, and on the way he said to them, "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and will hand him over to the Gentiles to mock, to scourge, and to crucify, and the third day he will be raised up." Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to him with her sons, kneeling and asking a certain thing of him. He said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Command that these, my 2 sons, may sit one on your right hand and one on your left hand in your kingdom." But Jesus answered, "You don't know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will indeed drink my cup, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and on my left hand is not mine to give, but it is for whom it has been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard it, they were indignant with the 2 brothers. But Jesus summoned them and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. It shall not be so among you. But whoever desires to become great among you shall be your servant. Whoever desires to be first among you shall be your bondservant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many."
Jesus took his disciples and told them about his future death. He prophesied that he would be rejected by the religious authorities in Jerusalem and be condemned to death by crucifixion, the most shameful death inflicted by the Romans to the criminals. The disciples must have wondered what it would mean. When Jesus told his disciples about it, at the same time, he wanted to tell us the meaning of it in our lives. When the topic is about death, we are always unwilling to listen to the conversation, and we try to avoid it, be it physical death or death to our old self. This is so because the word death will cause us pain and sadness. Just imagine those who lost their loved ones. Many people suffered a lot in losing their loved ones. In fact, many could not move on in their lives. That is why we don't want to talk about death. When we are called to die to our old and sinful selves, it means to sacrifice, to struggle, and to die to our unchristian attitudes. And these cause us pain. That's why we avoid the topic of death. The message of the gospel is always difficult for us to accept. This is because it always points us to the sacrifice of the cross. The sacrificial love and the full acceptance of the cross need to be understood and loved, which leads us to fully embrace them and eventually proclaim them in our way of living. We might ask ourselves, how? Because we know that we are weak and we are afraid to suffer. Maybe we can start by looking at the Lord Himself in today's Gospel. Jesus prophesied his shameful death on the cross. He was not afraid of facing the truth, even if it is very painful, which would make him suffer not only physically but as well as emotionally. He was ready and willing to accept this without hesitation. He didn't see his cross in a negative perspective. He did not look at it as a tragedy to be avoided. Instead, Jesus looked at his forthcoming sufferings in the light of love. He saw it as a glorious act of love that he was soon to offer to all of us. Maybe the Lord is inviting us to look at our sufferings in a positive perspective, especially the sufferings caused by our struggle to deny more ourselves to reach conversion. He is inviting us not to be afraid to accept the cross so that we will reach the glory of resurrection. Right after Jesus had prophesied his impending death on the cross, the mother of the sons of Zebedee approached Jesus with her two sons and asked Jesus on their behalf to grant them a special status among his disciples, namely, to be placed in the highest position of privilege and power. Rulers place their second in command at their right and at their left. James and John were asking Jesus to place them above their fellow disciples. Jesus said in reply, "You do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the chalice that I am going to drink?" They said, "Yes, we can." In this gospel account, we can see that when it comes to privilege and power, it is easy for us to ask or to accept it just in case it is given. But it is always hard to accept the cross in our lives. The kingdom of Jesus is completely opposite to the kingdom of the world. He reverses the order and values of the world's way of thinking. If you want to be great, then become a servant of all. If you want to be first, then become a slave rather than a master. This is a sacrificial love that we have been talking before. If we are able to do this, then God will place us at His right hand and at His left in His kingdom. The only way we can advance in God's kingdom is by submitting our whole life in faith and obedience to God, just as Jesus did, even if it led Him to His death on the cross. Prayer of Rupert Meyer. Lord, let happen whatever you will, and as you will, so I will walk. Help me only to know your will. Lord, whenever you will, then it is the time, today and always. Lord, whatever you will, I wish to accept, and whatever you will for me is gain. Enough that I belong to you. Lord, because you will it, it is right, and because you will it, I have courage. My heart rests safely in your hands.